So we decided to look at it because it's a scheme that there's a lot of debate over that 40 years that's in existence. And that 40 years that has been in existence happened to be the 40 years that the opposition also managed to start winning seats properly in general elections, 1984, without fail. And of course, there have been good progress. I'll touch on that later. I just felt that it's good to capture these voices from participants who are part of the scheme. And so what compelled Ho Yeong and I to write the conclusions? We had some debate among ourselves. Of course, we have different strong reasons for putting in, we put our reasons in. But for me, I felt that, well, it has served some usefulness, especially because politics in 1984 is very different from today. Oppositions will find it very hard to go in, mainly because there's just too much risk. Good people will tend to shy away, and it's very difficult to, without good people, it's very hard to win elections. So, for me personally, I felt that it has come to the tail end of the usefulness. It's time to look beyond, because if we keep relying on a scheme like this, then we're always thinking that there's an insurance, all right? But I feel that it's actually more a training wheel that guided Singapore democracy, and it's time for the training wheels to get off. All right, maybe opposition might still falter along the way. Maybe you'll end up even at risk of a total wipeout. But I feel that the focus should be how to build democracy that can best represent voices of different people, and not to rely on a scheme like this, which basically props it up. It's a Panadol, but doesn't really look at the main issues. And for me, the main issues is basically the playing field has to be more level, for one. I think if the playing field is more level, I think lots of things can be corrected. And also, over the years, you have seen better and better opposition candidates coming in. I think there's to be a breakthrough, and for me personally, I will credit Mr. Loke for having engineered that breakthrough, because he has put a more moderate stance and he has managed to attract people in. It has gone beyond the personality issue. So it's no longer about a person, but it's actually about a team, and that team itself is able to carry on even without the person who initiated it. And I thought that breakthrough was the most difficult thing. And since it has already started, there is some template for others to follow. And so the time is really to look on beyond this. And yeah, hopefully this Mun Wai and Hazel will be the last NCMP. I mean, I was hoping that I would have been the last, but it didn't happen. Of course, it was 2015, that was difficult. Yeah, so I hope I've answered all of that.
I guess just one follow-up question for JJ. I mean, you served as an NCMP, and I think one question that the book tries to explore is as how the NCMPs have experienced the scheme. Have they thrived because of the scheme or despite the scheme? And I think for yourself, what is your personal experience when navigating that when you were NCMP? And yeah, maybe answer that.
Okay, as an NCMP, there are two main functions. Of course, one is the parliament part, which is actually no difference from any MP, except the irritating reminder that you have a shorter speaking time than the other opposition MPs by design in the scheme.
I only pay 1/3 of the price.
Sorry?
I only pay 1/10 of the price.
Okay, salary actually is less than a 10, I believe. Sorry, it's about 15%. Okay, he's talking about the salary of NCMP. The allowance is actually 15% of what an MP is. But I'm not looking at that. I'm just looking at the functions. There's no difference in Parliament, but when it comes to ground activities, that's where I agree with Mr. Law. There's really a downbeat thing, because you're trying to plant yourself into a ground that's floating. And for me, my ground floated away, and so did Fengshan and this Punggol East. The better performing seats just somehow flows away. So, but that's not the main issue. The main issue is that as an NCMP, you are reminded that you have no constituency. The name itself tells you that this is non-constituency. So you can't do that kind of events, meet people, and try to apply for permit, or you explore applying for permit to use a park. Of course, it's a political event, you wouldn't have been approved. So it's things like that is really a handicap as an NCMP. And your question is about, did it improve the profile? Definitely, I mean, Parliament is the important place. So anybody who's in Parliament, you get to show what you're able to stand for, speak, and so on, and people will make the judgment call. And of course, within a party, I would say that it's a good place for them to look at how a person performs. I mean, just like a workplace, you put somebody through something, and then you think that this guy can perform, then maybe it's time to move on to a different role. So, yeah, so it's definitely good for raising the profile of a person.
I think one comment you made just now is that we should abolish the NCMP scheme, despite this possibility that the opposition might falter. And I think from Mr. Inderjeet Singh, maybe you would want to share about that. But I think in your pre-recording, I remember hearing that you mentioned one example, which is the 2015 general elections, whereby there was simply a possibility that the opposition would have seats at all, and without an NCMP scheme, I think what you were suggesting was that this would have been, a complete different parliament. Would you like to address that? And what are your thoughts about, opposition voices in parliament? And specific to that, do you think this is how does the scheme works in that way?
Yeah, so 2015 was a special year. I think I was up there, although I did not compete, but I was an election agent for Prime Minister, and I organized it for him in Ang Mo Kio. And we were all surprised ourselves at the outcome, and I think the opposition parties were all worried about whether anyone would get in. So it's a special year, and that's, I would say, quite some time after the NCMP scheme was put in place, and we almost had a wipeout. Had we not had the NCMP scheme, we could have seen a possibility of no opposition voices in Parliament. I mentioned earlier that I think it has been very useful for all of us, whether it's the ruling party or the opposition, or for Singaporeans, to have opposition voices in Parliament. And it's very important for a democracy that's as mature as ours now, that we have robust debates, we have alternative views, suggestions for alternative policies, so that we can do what is right for Singaporeans to improve Singapore and improve life for Singaporeans. So I think, I was worried, all of us worried that we were shocked ourselves from the PAP side, that we got such good results. But we knew it was a special year, something happened. And this could happen again in the future. So I think, so leaving it down there does not hurt us. At the same time, we have seen now an era where the opposition has been able to attract very capable and credible candidates like Professor Paul Tambyah and the rest of them who are in Parliament. He looks like a PAP candidate if he had got him. So I would say that Workers' Party also has done well in attracting good people. So I think the opposition is today capable of getting into Parliament themselves, but I think we want to keep the NCMP scheme in case we have a special event again, and we would be poorer if, let's say, we don't have, or we have less voices, opposition voices in Parliament, not many of them get elected. But I said in the record interview that I think moving forward, as long as the opposition parties do their part, do their job of attracting qualified, good quality candidates, I think they will give the PAP run for the money. The PAP therefore have to keep on improving, and so that they can win. I mean, every political party's job is to win as many seats as possible, not to let the other party win. So I think everyone has to raise their standards and try to win the seat. So PAP wants to form government, wants to form a supermajority, they have to win. But if let's say, opposition can provide alternative group of people, then they deserve to come in and take more seats.